Yo, let's get it. Yo, let's go, let's get it. Live from the mic with the vibes explicit. Hosted by Buddy, the legend in the game. Laughter, stories, you'll never be the same. Yeah, Buddy, it's that podcast flair where the stars align and we venture to share. Yeah. Step into the studio, lights shining bright. Buddy Rahming's got the crew and the vibes just right. From comedians to actors, models and more. Entertainment biz, we're ready to explore. Chilling with legends, having heart-to-heart chats. Discussing personal journeys, no tips or hacks. With laughs that echo and stories that amaze. Every episode's a treat, let the conversation blaze. Yeah, buddy, welcome to the show.
Yes. What's going on, world? This is your man, Buddy Rahming, and we are back at it, y'all, with another episode of the Yeah, Buddy podcast. And you know how we do every episode, man. So if you are a returning guest, we always bring in one of our friends from the entertainment business. We sit down, chop it up, see what we got going on, whether it's an actor, comedian, filmmaker. And this episode, we got the finale of our One Buddy After Another award season coverage of One Battle After Another with co-host Brandon Larson. So if this is your first time tuning in, this is a great episode to make your first one. So let's just get right into this. Let's get right into this, man. We just finished wrapping up the Academy Awards and the award season in general. Like y'all know, we've been following the film One Battle After Another throughout the award season because it was filmed up here in our hometown of Sacramento, California. So we just decided to pay a little homage to it and just show people this journey that we've been on. Because, you know, we was extras in the film. And now all of a sudden, at first we was just extras in a film. But now we're extras in an Academy Award winning Best Picture film. You dig?
Fantastic. Oh, I dig it. Yeah. It's incredible, buddy. And it's such a pleasure to be here doing this podcast with you.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being around all this journey with us, man. So like I said, we just had the Academy Awards. Let's just do a simple little deep dive into what was your take on just the overall show?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty well done, buddy. You know, the biggest thing, Conan O'Brien hosted. I felt like it moved pretty quickly. It was a typical Oscars. I didn't think there was anything that was, you know, unforgettable or anything like that. But no, overall, I thought the show itself was good. What about you?
I thought it was good. I thought it was very well put together. Sitting back and just seeing all the nominees made me really just think about how many good films there were this year. We had a lot of good movies this year.
Absolutely. And not just the movies that are, you know, redone. Like there were no reboots this year. There were a lot of original stories that were original IP or intellectual properties that were unique. I mean, Sinners, One Battle After Another were all unique movies that we don't typically see every year.
And there's a lot of love to horror this year. Horror got a lot of love this year.
For sure, especially with Sinners and Frankenstein. Those were two that took down a lot of awards and nominations this year.
I think your predictions were right for Frankenstein, the awards that it won.
Yeah, I was really excited that Frankenstein won for production design, and it was really nice to see them win 3 Oscars. So they won the third most out of all the movies, and I think that's good to note that. And yeah, I was just really pleased because I felt like they put so much hard work. As I mentioned, the actual ship that they built in a parking lot, a life-sized ship, you know, you don't see that done typically in a movie. And so for me, I felt like that elevated the film, and that's why it made it so real for me to know that they put so much detail in the production design itself. Plus the makeup was incredible. Like it won for best costume. It won for best production design. And so I just felt like it was fantastic. It was a fantastic film for me.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's kick back a second, and I want to talk about one battle after another. When we like I said, being extras on it. How do you feel now after seeing it, after it becoming now this Academy Award Best Picture, and not only that, but it won the most Oscars for the of the evening.
Well, it's incredibly exciting, buddy. I'm sure you're feeling the same way, just to have that in perspective, because not everybody gets the opportunity to be on a major motion picture. So if you're an extra on a film like this, you are going to gain experience. You are going to learn by watching and doing. And for me, it's extremely meaningful, buddy, to have been a part of a film that won Best Picture here locally where we live and reside. And it's to be a part of something like this is unforgettable as an experience, and it's one that you're going to remember for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
What was
No,
your
yeah, most
feeling
definitely.
about it?
My feeling about it's kind of twofold watching the Oscars because like we had pointed out at the beginning, the two most awarded films this year was One Battle After Another and Sinners. And the one thing they have in common, outside of being with Warner Brothers, but the one thing that they have in common is their connection to Northern California. Like I was said, One Battle After Another, filming up here in Northern California throughout Sacramento, Stockton area. Sinners, Ryan Coogler, of course, from Oakland. Delroy Lindo, roots from Oakland. Raphael Sadiq, Oakland. And then even when we went to the screening of Sinners out in Oakland, and Ryan Coogler and Delroy Lindo was up there, and even the sound guys that was also there, they was also from Oakland. And I believe somebody had said, I can't quote this now, but I think somebody even said the cinematographer has roots to the Bay Area. So
it wouldn't surprise me because they had such a film family dynamic. Like they all trust each other working together. And I think that that's what you need on set. And I imagine One Battle After Another, they're working with people too that they know and trust. And for films like this, where they're big major motion pictures, you've got to have a crew and a team that are at the highest level, because every dollar and cent is important, right? You've got to make your days. And to know that we were a part of a Best Picture winner is incredible, buddy. Like it's fantastic. I really thought that Sinners was going to win. I mean, earlier, before, I thought One Battle After Another, and then I shifted to Sinners thinking that Sinners was going to win the most Oscars ever, and it fell short of that. And One Battle After Another succeeded, right? It won the most, and it almost won 50% of what it was nominated for. 6 out of 11. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, like we said though, that's how it was. That's what it was supposed to be from the beginning. It was always supposed to be, like I said. I feel like Sinners came and knocked some of the wind out of them. You know, I feel like they probably thought that some of those 4 awards was theirs. You know.
I agree.
Like,
I agree wholeheartedly.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, yeah. But even at the end of the day, like looking at that, like with, you say Sinners maybe only won 4 awards or whatever, but I mean, shoot, Ryan Coogler, he was with it from the beginning, because remember that the deal that he signed, even going into making Sinners, shoot, he owns that franchise. Like he was winning before that movie even ever came out. Everything else after this has just been the icing on the cake, and it's been cool, really, to kind of see, just because, like I said, my first shoot, like Ryan Coogler casted me. I had auditioned in front of Ryan Coogler for Fruitvale Station. You know, Ryan Coogler cast me in Fruitvale Station. And so being able to see, even on set back then, the dynamic between him and Michael B. Jordan, and then now where it's at now, it's crazy. It's crazy, motivating for sure, inspirational for sure.
Absolutely. And especially when Michael B took it down, that was the standout for me, buddy, was him winning. It was such a joy for me to see him win, and I was rooting for him to win. So it's incredible to see, you don't get to see that. And so I'm just really impressed with what Michael B did as he should have won, and he did win. And that's the thing,
Yeah,
was there was
yeah.
question of that, a lot of controversy with Timothy Chalamet, and so we really didn't know who was going to win for best lead actor. So to see Michael B win when the odds were against him was, I don't know about you, but it was just pure joy, right?
No,
Like
I knew he was gonna win. I knew he was gonna win when I see the setup, when I see them sit in front row. I was like, oh, he's got this. Just they're not gonna do that to him. They're not gonna have sit front row just to see somebody else win and stuff like that. Like, yeah, when I see that, I was like, oh, he's got that in the bag. And they had him involved with like the opening monologue with Conan O'Brien, where they did like he's like the seat fillers or whatever. Like they're not gonna have you be a part of that, bro, if you're not gonna win. They're like, yeah, we got you, bro.
Yeah, there was some doubts in my mind because they put so much hype on Timothy Chalamet throughout the entire year, and he did campaign well for the Oscar, right? So he was certainly a contender, but for me, I felt that Leo DiCaprio did a phenomenal job in one battle after another. His performance for me was extremely strong. In fact, stronger than Timothy's performance. And well deserving of a nomination from me, And so I think that you saw the love between Leo and Michael B when he won too. And then of course the first guy to hug Michael B when he won was Ryan Coogler. So to see that exchange was emotional, man. Like you could see the level of emotion that Michael B was going through when he won.
Yeah.
Do you think he was surprised that he won, or do you think he had it in the bag in his mind?
No, I think he was genuinely surprised. I mean, because the Academy has a history of kind of doing our black actors like that, just playing in their faces, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. So, because it could have just as easily been, pie in your face type of situation, just having them sit in their front row, just like, damn, look at Timothy. But
yeah, for sure.
But I think when you look at the reaction that he got from the room, like man, last time I see like a whole room react to somebody like that, it was like Kendrick Lamar at the Grammys. Like when he won, when he won Not Like Us, you know what I mean? Like people going crazy for that shit. It just shows to like we're talking about like with the campaigning, like this was all a whole public perception that Timothy Chalamet was putting on. Run around like he's like the essence of Marty Supreme, and this is what you get when you date a Kardashian. But he's just running around being the whole like it was like a publicity stunt.
Oh, it was.
When we're talking about an industry award, it just shows, especially in this situation, that sometimes it's just all not just, but it's about also being a good person. Because when it comes to being nominated, everybody's talented, everybody's worthy of winning. But now it just comes to it just comes down to the those other intangibles. Can we sit down and do business together? Can we grab lunch together? Can I just stand being around you for a couple hours or days at a time? Things like that. Like me hanging around you is this going to ruin my reputation? All those little types of things that you got to understand. And this is also where you got to look at it from like, if we're talking about like the campaigning, what if behind the scenes, Leo's like, I don't want it. I'm not trying to campaign. Whatever campaign money you is going to put towards me, put towards Michael B. Let him go get that.
Yeah, I think these are all valid points that you're making. And for me, Michael B, the talent alone and the performance alone was the standout of the year,
Yeah.
where nobody else had to do what Michael B did in a film to the level where, from an acting standpoint, you're having to play 2, 3 different characters and make that believable on screen and be
Mhm.
so technical with your movements that you're playing twins. So now you
Mhm.
add that element, and that makes your job as an actor even more difficult. And he rose to
Yeah.
the occasion. He rose to the occasion and he won. Plain and
Mhm.
simple, no doubt about it. Michael B won the Oscar hands down. Nobody can ever take that away from him. And that's where, for me, that's why this is so meaningful to me personally, that he proved. How many naysayers were there? I'm just saying, because for me, it's like, it's good to see somebody, like you said, somebody humble, somebody that you can work with, who's not campaigning in a weird way, right? Like trying to make buzz about something, like, right? Like,
Mhm.
you could see that with Michael B. And I think that that's why people are feeling the way they are, and they're happy, genuinely happy for him. um, that's lovely to see, right? Like, you should be rooting for somebody like that to win, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're talking about between him and Timothy Chalamet, like I said, one person brought Kylie Jenner as a date, and then the other person brought their mom as a date, and then
Enough
no,
said. Enough
I'm
said.
just, no, I'm
Yeah.
just saying this is, but like, no, I'm just seriously speaking for like when we're talking about from the industry standpoint, like times are changing. You could tell it, like tides are changing and stuff like that. They're like, this is what we want to represent the future of Hollywood. You know,
And that's a good thing, isn't it?
mm. Yeah. It's definitely a good thing. And then also want to go back to like how you were talking about like with the naysayers. I mean, when you look at the way his, and I think this is how all circles should move, especially when you're moving in this industry, is that the only naysayers that should really be around you or like in your ear, I guess you could say, is um, the people that like you're doing business. Like somebody, like if I'm auditioning and somebody says no, no, not this isn't right, or what I'm saying, or talk to a producer like, nah, maybe we don't want to buy your film and stuff all like that. But as far as like with your inner circle goes, and not necessarily you gotta have like yes man people that are gonna kiss your ass and stuff like that. People that are gonna keep you humble, keep you grounded, keep your morals, sense of ethics, strong religion and things like that. Those are people type of people in your circle that to where these other naysayers and all this type of stuff like it's gonna be impossible to hear from them because the only people that you're hearing directly from are these close people from me. Like when he shouts out like his family and stuff like that. That's the only people you're going to see around me. The only type of feature films you're going to see me around is a situation like with the Ryan Coogler, who is my brother. You know, so I know my brother's not going to go behind my back and do something foul to me. So it gives
Well,
you
those
it
are
gives
the,
you it gives you the freedom. Like it gives you not the freedom, but it gives you that just sense of fresh air, fresh breath where you guys like, oh, okay, I know I could do this because there's nobody around me that's trying to do harm to me. So if nobody around me is trying to do harm to me, I could only do good. Even if I fail, I'm still doing good.
and those are the best sets to be on, buddy. You want to be a part of a
Hmm.
team that can trust each other. There's no drama on set, right? Zero drama. We don't got time for that. This isn't high school, you know?
Yeah.
You've got to be professional. You got to show up early, on time, be ready to work, know your lines, know what you're supposed to do on set, and be prepared. That's what pre-production's for. That's before you even start the process. You've got to do
Hmm.
that work because there is no time. If you're going to shoot a film in 20 days and you've got 20 days to shoot it, and that's what you've got, boy, you better make your days, right? So depending upon, a major motion picture, they've got more than 20 days. But I'm just saying 20 days because that's, I would say, the minimum that you need to make a really solid film. You'd like to have about 20 days to do a feature. But in terms of One Battle After Another and Sinners, they had more time than that. They had more money. They had more support. They had more resources, but they still had to solve major issues on set. They had to rise above challenges. They had to solve those things. And as a result, you're seeing these films nominated for Oscars. And why? Because they were the best films of the year. And so in competition, when you're going up against, now that they have 10, I think they should maybe narrow that down to about 7 films. Maybe 10 is a little too much to digest, but wonder what you think about that, as well as because some of these films maybe could have been eliminated in terms of, let's be honest, that they were never going to be contenders to win. So I'm thinking maybe you should narrow it down back to 7. What do you think about that?
No, I like the 10. I like the 10 because I mean, realistically, even at 7, it's still only gonna be one person that win. I think they just have 10. I think it's just 10 just to add more eyes onto it. Say you get more fill up the theater more, get more people watching it. Really, I think I think that just comes down to we need ratings. How many people can we get to watch this?
That's a valid point. I would say too, there were 3 strong contenders this year. You had One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Hamnet. Those were the top 3 movies of the year in terms of consideration.
And I think that's usually how it always is. You know what I'm saying? So even if they was to cut it down to 5, it's still just, you still just have your contenders. It would still be One Battle After Another, Sinners, Hamnet, and then you would just have your choice of, do I want to put a sentimental value up there, or I mean, Marty Supreme might not make it, but
right.
Yeah. So you just have which other 2 just want to feel good to be in that company.
Were there any surprises for you in terms of who won in any category for you?
No, I think that it was all pretty spot on. The only one that would have probably like surprised me would have been no, there was no surprises. I think I missed the first award, there was a tie for the short film, but I just read the article about it, but I didn't see that actually be like announced. Oh, we had a tie, but that's a surprise.
I felt for me, best cinematography was the biggest surprise. For Sinners, you had Autumn Arkapaw, who won and made history, winning, being.
Oh, that wasn't a surprise to me either.
Well, I was
surprised that she was the first woman to do it, but that wasn't a surprise to me at all. No way. Yeah, between seeing Sinners at IMAX and seeing One Battle After Another at IMAX, I was like, yeah, she definitely.
Yeah, I guess it was the surprise that for me, like that she actually did win. Like I personally felt it was the best cinematography, but I didn't know if Sinners was going to win or not. Truly.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like it was
pleasant surprise. It was a pleasant surprise. Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise.
And so for me, it was more about like I felt that One Battle After Another was right there, and I didn't think it was something that was a category that was easily decided, like Jessie Buckley winning for Best Lead Actress. There was no doubt in anybody's minds that she was going to win that award. And so for me, it was more just, it was a nice surprise to see that. and I felt the energy and buzz when she won because it was such a historic moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I liked her speech, and everybody looked good. Everybody at the awards looked good. Tiana was looking good. Chase was looking good. Woomy was looking good. Everybody's looking good.
Yeah, and it seemed like people were having a good time.
That's what it felt like. It felt like it felt like it was a more upscale version of like the MTV Awards. Just they just like we just having fun with it. We're not going to take nothing too serious. I think everybody, and that's why I think there was no surprise with the awards or whatever. Everybody pretty much knew who was going to win, so there was no like, what was anticipation or anxiety. Everybody knew Sean Penn was going to win. It wasn't going to be there. It was said Delroy. Delroy didn't know. Delroy was mad. I ain't gonna lie. Delroy was mad. I ain't mad at him.
I mean, and I felt his vibe, seeing him on camera when he won and when he didn't win, excuse me. But I kind of felt for him. I was Team Delroy. I felt he gave the best performance personally in the supporting actor category this year. He was a standout for me. And he deserved the nomination. Everybody deserved a nomination this year. There wasn't anybody.
Everybody who was everybody who was nominated was definitely deserving.
So even though Sean Penn didn't show for the awards, he still won, and he gave a good performance. But for me, I felt there were some better performances, but that's just how I feel. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. We tend to think in extremes where it's like who wins, who loses. That's kind of how we think in terms of these awards. And if you win, but in general, I think you're a winner if you're nominated. Wouldn't you agree, buddy? If you're nominated for an Oscar, that's a win in itself.
Hell no, I want to win. But
yeah,
look at nice. I'm not going to be a sore loser, but I want to win. I'm leaving here with something. What did Denzel say? I'm leaving here with something.
Exactly. Delroy wanted to win. I think you could tell that. I felt like he had the best chance. If anybody was competing.
I think he knew. I think he knew this was probably his best chance. They're like, if they didn't give it to him if he didn't even get nominated for the Five Bloods, and then so with this, he's like, yeah, this might be it. He's like, because when's the next time Ryan Coogler's gonna give me or somebody? All these black directors are falling off. Well, they're getting older. Not falling off. They're getting older.
Let's talk about the director category, because Ryan Coogler was a contender, right? Like it wasn't hands down Paul Thomas Anderson, because I was waiting for that. I was wondering, I genuinely didn't know. Like I felt it was between those two guys, and Paul Thomas Anderson came out on top. He won 3 Oscars, right? He won for Best Writing, Best Director, and Best Picture. Ryan Coogler won for Best Writing, an original screenplay, and that was well deserving. But you and I both talked in one episode about how Ryan Coogler did, the best job directing.
Yeah. And I think he did, and I still stand by it. I still think he was the best director, and I mean, I'm already beat it like a dead horse, what I'm saying? But it's like the campaigning, it like if Sinners was a different studio outside of Warner Brothers, I think he would have won. But because it's an in-house thing, and like I said, Warner Brothers was all like, "Hey, bro, we're letting you keep your franchise. We are letting you own this movie. But we're gonna have to give Paul Thomas Anderson these trophies right here." You know what I'm saying? Like, like when you from a studio standpoint, when you really look at it, it was kind of even exchange. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we'll let you own this, and maybe this is a deeper dive into how the business and all this the studio stuff works. Maybe this also is part of why what was also part of the whole setup with him getting the type of deal that he did, that people kind of shitted on him and said, oh, well, say he was black or whatever it may be, but it's all like what if this is a deeper dive into just the business side of things, to where Warner Brother Studios was all like, yo, this is a great ass movie and shit like this. Like, this is an Academy Award Best Picture. It just so happens that this year's PTA is our dude. He's lost the past 25 years. Shit, this may be his last film. We got to do him this solid. Well,
yeah,
if you want to do that, then let me own this movie. Then let me own this movie.
Right, and I don't know how many films Paul Thomas Anderson has left in the tank, whereas Ryan Coogler, we're going to see a lot more from. He's not done at all. Like, Ryan has already won an Oscar now, so the credibility and the excellence that Ryan has in filmmaking, as it's at the highest level anybody could imagine. It's important to note that he broke the record for most nominations in the Oscars. So you cannot take that away from Ryan and Sinners
at all. And they did, and they didn't have to, and it don't even matter. They didn't even have to sweep. Just the fact that they said, "Hey, your picture is top 5 in everything." Not even top 5, because you never know where it probably could have placed second or third. Your movie is top 3 in everything, bro. Top 3 in everything.
And that's what's important to note, buddy, is that, it was, for me, the strongest film of the year. And even though it didn't win Best Picture, it should not take away from the brilliance
of
this movie.
That's even better. Because now that's just gonna build up the cult following of it. That's just gonna make the movie bigger. The fact that it did lose is gonna make it, not now, but years from now, like people that they're like, this lost Best Picture. This movie didn't win. Like, congrats to Michael B. Jordan, of course, and Ryan Coogler and the sound and cinematographer. But when you talk about the overall aspect of it, like when people watch that movie 10 years from now, however long from now, they're going to sit back and watch that movie and think that whatever category there is for the Oscars, that movie won it.
Well, I'd also like to mention that One Battle After Another won for Best Film Editing. I think that's important to note, because editing can make or break a film. So the fact that it won for that, the film kind of felt a little long to me, just a little bit, where I felt Sinners was stronger personally. And then Sentimental Value was in really good editing as well. And so I felt like that, for me, I didn't really know who was going to win that Oscar. So when One Battle After Another won for that, Andy Jurgensen is the editor for One Battle After Another. So when that won for Best Editing, for me, that means something for a film, right? Because the film can't drag. It's got to be seamless. And what were your thoughts? Do you think that this should have won for Best Film Editing?
I could only go back to my experience from working on the set, and maybe you could too as well. But like, even like simple like establishing shots and like people walking across the street or whatever. Even I'll just use for instance like the scene that I'm in, where I'm walking across the street.
Right.
That simple scene, we probably did about 8 takes, which is a lot for a scene like that, where a character just walking across the street. The scene that you were saying that you was in, it had got cut or whatever.
Right, but we had 16. We did 16 takes.
Exactly. So I don't know how many takes Ryan Coogler did on Sinners, but whoever was editing, they had a lot to work with. You know what I mean? There was just a lot of footage to work with.
I agree. Yeah, and but in terms of the editing, though, buddy, did you feel like the movie was tight? Did you feel like it dragged, or did you feel like it
No,
moved at the pace that it
no, I
needed
thought
to?
that movie. I thought that movie moved fast for like
Okay,
for over a 2 hour movie. For we're talking about one battle after another, right?
correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
I just want to get your
what was it, like 2.5 hours?
yeah. Oh, yeah, over that. Yeah, it was about
Yeah,
that.
it
And
didn't feel
so
like when we watched it. I didn't feel like it.
yeah, it moved pretty seamlessly, but in comparison to Sinners, now I wonder what your feeling is, because I felt like those two films were the best in terms of editing. Um,
Mhm.
and so for me, I felt like Sinners was a stronger contender, but I don't know what I'm thinking
I think
it was
that
so close.
it was close. I think what happened. I mean, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Autumn, the cinematographer, is that maybe the shit that she did was so good that he's like it was almost too good. Like, I don't know what to do with this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's
Wow.
like, yo,
Yeah.
this girl's kicking ass right here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's just the case of what it was. He's like he's like, this is so good. I don't know what to do with it.
Well, then you made me think of the big oneer that they had in Sinners too. And do you think that that
I think
maybe
that won the
detracted from?
I think that won the cinematographer award. I
Yeah,
think
but
but you talk about from the editing standpoint.
yeah, so did that detract from it winning best editing because they had that big oneer in the movie?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, so then it took it down, one battle after another, best film editing of the year. So
Mhm.
uh hats off to them. Again, it one battle after another, one for best adapted screenplay, which we talked about. Did you feel like any of the nominees for that were better? You had Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, and Train Dreams. So one battle after another beat out all of those, which
Mhm.
were really well written films.
Yeah. Um. No, I think he had that in the bag. Yeah, I don't think there was
Okay.
any. I don't think there was going to be anything close.
I felt like Hamnet was a really good script. I thought that that was really interesting, and interesting take with the Shakespeare element. And Shakespeare is not easy to do in general. So for me, I felt like that was strong writing.
Hmm.
Um, and then the flip side is then you have the other category of best original screenplay, and Sinners, for me, that there was no contender for that. I felt like Ryan was going to win that Oscar.
No, yeah, I thought he was going to win that, but when they was going through the nominees, and I was sitting back and looking at the nominees, I was like, that's a tough competition. Like, he was going to win, but I was like, this is some tough competition for him to win against. So, and that's just more kudos to Sinners, and Ryan Coogler's talent, because, like I said, any of those other films could have walked away with it. Because we talked so much about how much sentimental value resonated with just film and people in the film community, but that could have just as easily, if it was in any other year.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, buddy. And so I wonder too, one battle after another, one for best casting, which is so important in a movie. To have casting is such a critical, and we haven't seen. I can't remember a casting category in the Oscars.
This is the first
Um,
year.
I believe this is the first year, buddy. So the fact that one battle after another won for best casting is super critical. I myself had to talk to a casting director to just be even an extra in this film that won for Best Picture. So to have a personal phone call, even myself having to talk to a casting director, I would say that's pretty well done, wouldn't you, buddy? Like to get down to who we're going to cast for extras.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, like, because you say one battle after another, one for best casting, but then opposed to like Sinners won best ensemble for the Actors Award. So basically, best cast at the Actors Awards. So it's just definitely interesting to see what people consider as what makes a good cast. And then also speaks to the quality of hey, you know what else they did? You know what else they did? That the secret that they gave away. That
what's that?
I think people like, if you're actors, you should tune in. Is you just said casting directors are the people that put you in the movies, right?
Right.
So they just literally, the Academy Awards just gave you 5 casting directors, their names, that you could just as easily go onto IMDb. And it has their contact information, email, all this type of stuff. Shit, I'll be all like, hey, such and such. I was an extra in one battle after another. Thank you for cast. She don't even have to know that she did it. She probably wasn't the one that did cast me. But whoever it was, I'm shoot. Or at least now you know. Now you know these connects. Like, what do I got to do to audition for you?
Well, I actually have that connection still because we also had written correspondence as well. So when you are invited, I should say is a good word to say, when you're invited on a major motion picture, there's a lot of thought that goes into that. They're not just willy-nilly, like, because they could pick anybody, right? Any drop of the hat.
Shit, or they could pick nobody. Or they could pick nobody.
Exactly.
The way AI is going, the way AI is going, they could be nobody. But so that's why we just. But I'm just speaking to your point.
Right. No, but I felt like the level of detail that the casting went into, just for someone like myself. I don't know if other film sets go to this level of detail, buddy. I'm curious. You've been on a lot of major motion pictures yourself. This was my first experience. So would you say that this is typical that a casting director would go to this lengths in terms of casting, even extras?
Yeah, to some degree. And like I said, the casting director that you're talking to may not be that actual casting director. It could be like their assistant, somebody like that. But especially because with you being a non-union actor, they gotta have to do some sort of research, because this is the one industry, as far as like what we do with actors, we don't interview, we audition. So from a non-union person standpoint, if they're bringing you onto the set, they're like, yeah, we got to make sure this person's right, especially knowing what it is. Like, everybody already knowing what this movie's supposed to be. By the time it even gets to us, they know what this movie they know what this movie's going to be. And so from that standpoint of just being so on top of everything, yes, and then also just from the how much they try to keep a secret, and not try to give too much information, because they didn't even, when they was sending out the casting notices, they didn't even say the movie was called One Battle After Another.
Correct.
It's called like what, Desert Highway or something like that.
It started as that, and then it turned into the BC Project.
Yeah. See, and then when we did The Matrix 4, that movie was called Ice Cream. The Ice Cream movie.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because they don't want to give it. They don't want to divulge anything. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. No. It was such an interesting experience going from submitting to it and then going through that entire process. So I encourage anybody who is an actor, get on a film set like this if you can. Even if you're an extra, this is a good experience for you, and it's going to help you learn and grow as an actor to watch the pros do it. Because ultimately, our goal is to get on these sets, right, buddy? Like, we want to be at the highest level too. And how are you going to do that? You know, if you're willing to be a production assistant, if you're willing to be open-minded to things, I think that's going to better serve you as an actor. If that's your goal, to be an actor, be open-minded would be my advice.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. Let's say like the quality of your equipment, like put that aside. What are some of the things that you take away from being on that set as far as professionalism goes that you see working on short films, and then also things that you don't see, you know, the unprofessionalism?
Yeah, I feel like when you're on a major motion picture, the level of detail that goes into every little thing from catering to logistics, everything is thought about, and you have a lot of support when you're on a set like that. It's not, I didn't feel a stress personally, buddy. I didn't feel stressed out. The only thing that stressed me out with One Battle After Another was wardrobe, because I had to bring about 10 different outfits, and they didn't like any of my outfits where maybe like my pants and this, but they had to pull from a rack and decide what I was going to wear on set. So they didn't end up using what I had brought. A lot of what I brought, they used some of it, but not all of it. I ended up wearing like a sweater, and they asked me, you know, whereas opposed to if you're on a short film, I feel like it's a little bit easier in terms of the wardrobe is like, okay, well, it's decided what I'm going to wear. But in terms of, you know, makeup and all these things, overall, I feel like when you're on a major motion picture, everything is seamless and everything moves. And you might be in holding for a while. So if you're an extra, you might have to do a lot of hurry up and wait. But no, I feel like they know what they're doing and they have more time to do it. Where when you're on short films, there's less money, which means there's less time. So you've got to, I feel like your time has to be managed extremely well in both cases. Overall, I think that One Battle After Another did an outstanding job in terms of preparation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, not only just preparation, but just taking care of people, making sure people was well taken care of, even down to the craft service. I always tell people, you know how good, you know how a film set is going to be when you see craft service. When you see craft service, you know what type of day it's going to be. It's going to be either a really good day. This is going to be a really good film to work on, or it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
And those lower budget, you know, short films like you speak of don't always have the money to buy the best catering. Now, on my sets that I've, you know, produced, I really do make a point to try to feed the cast and crew well. So I do take that into consideration, but I can't afford the level of catering that One Battle After Another provided us. We had phenomenal food.
Yeah, yeah, and we're just talking craft service. We're not even talking about lunch and breakfast. We just talk about like.
I had a great breakfast.
Yeah, we ain't talking about the scrambled and the eggs and the bacon and biscuits and gravy, fruits and all that type of stuff. We just talk about the types of like the chips and the cups of noodles and donuts. And I was like, God damn, like you know how a film. You know how a movie's going to be, and this isn't even just like compared to short films. Like you'll even have other feature films like this, or even short films where they have like that type of professional thing. So that's why I guess what I say, like like technology and equipment aside or whatever, you see those signs, like how you say, being on the professional big set, see those signs of professionalism and notice those on other short films and even on future feature films. Like if those films don't carry that same thing that One Battle After Another did, you know where this movie's going, or at least the direction. It ain't go that direction.
For sure, yeah, and I think you're speaking to all the points of what made this movie the Best Picture winner of the year. To have won 6 Oscars is incredible, and it was
Six out
their
of what,
night.
11? Six out of
Yes,
11. That's over
correct.
50%. God damn.
So, like I said, that's phenomenal, and that's something where people are going to remember this film. But like you say, then in essence, did Sinners fall short of their expectations, or do you think Sinners is happy with the fact that they won 4, winning the second most?
I think you always want to say you always want to win more. You know what I'm saying? But do I think they left it like shorthanded or like they should have? Man, I I think that at the end of the day, Sinners comes down to 2 people, Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. And as long as both of them went away with something, everybody went away with something. And that sounds a little bit cheesy, you know what I'm saying? Because of course, you like to see them, sweep it or whatever, or even their odds being better. But I mean, comparing it to One Battle After Another, it's like they said, everybody knew this year that it was going to be Paul Thomas Anderson. Everything. Like they literally said, like One Battle Another was supposed to, probably what about like Sinners probably took some of their awards. You know what I mean? Like everybody knew from the beginning, like from when One Battle After Another was being made, that this is Paul Thomas Anderson's crown achievement. Where he already had lost out on 14 nominations, so they was going to give him everything. Just like when like the I'm gonna go back to the Grammy situation with Kendrick Lamar and the Not Like Us. They said we're going to give you every single award. Here you go, Kendrick. All 5 awards that you're nominated for. Here you go. That's the same thing with Paul Thomas Anderson. They was probably like, yo, bro, here you go. Here, every award's gonna be yours. That's your swan song. You could ride off into the Hollywood sunset. But he just happened to be in the studio with Warner Brothers that happened to produce a movie called Sinners, and not only Sinners but Weapons, because Weapons was a Warner Brothers thing. And I'm looking at those 5 awards. Like, listen, those 5 awards that Sinners and Weapons won combined, man, they was probably like Paul Thomas Anderson probably like, those were mine. Those were supposed to be my awards. I was supposed to sweep this. They was probably trying to set it up for him to sweep it, and Sinners came up out of nowhere and said, "Nah, bro, we leave it." Like Denzel Washington said, "I'm leaving here with something."
I'd like to talk about Best Supporting Actress because Tiana Taylor was nominated for her performance. Amy Madigan took it down. We spoke in our last podcast. I felt that she was the front runner.
Yep.
And she ended up taking it down, right? She created such an iconic character that people are going to be wearing Halloween costumes forever now with her character, to beat out Wunmi Masaku and Tiana Taylor, who were both incredible. I mean, that gives a lot of weight.
But two nominees, the 2 other nominees were for the same movie. So it's not like, and this goes back to her. She, like how you said, she was previously nominated. So I'm not going to take anything away from her like that. She, like I said, she has that history with being with the Academy Awards, and they're like, okay, we'll give this to you because not saying we'll give this to you because we never know when you're going to win another award. But when you look at it from the competition standpoint, they also probably look at it from these are all a lot of newcomers as well, because it was Tiana,
Right.
the two from the Sentimental Value. Elle Fanning, she's still on the younger side. She's been there for a while, but you'll still they're still going to put her in the newcomer situation. And
Oh,
then
absolutely.
and same with Woonmi. So they probably kind of be looking at the same situation. Like we're all these people are all going to be here before. It's interesting to see how much steam Tiana had lost leaving the Golden Globes.
Yeah, it was. I really thought maybe she might take it down at that point because she won the Golden Globe. And so then I was like, wow, she could really very well win the Oscar because she did give an incredible performance in One Battle After Another. And I felt that she was a contender, buddy. Like,
Mhm.
she really brought her A game on set. I got to see her at work, and her laser focus was fantastic. Her and Leo worked really well together. So
And
yeah,
I was
and then
mistaken
where
too, because I thought Amy Madigan, she was only in Weapons for like 15 minutes.
yeah, she wasn't really in the movie that long,
So
buddy, but what I'm telling you was her performance was so captivating that if you didn't have that performance in the movie Weapons, it
mhm.
wouldn't have been, I'm sorry, but I don't think it would have been as good.
Oh yeah, I just say
I
because
really don't think.
I thought she was in the movie for longer than 15 minutes. I'm not taking away anything from her performance. I was mistaken because I thought she was in it longer. But like when you compare that to Tiana Taylor, that's just they have just about the same amount of screen time.
Yeah, they did, buddy. They actually did. And I think for me it was like so close between those two, and also Wound Me, because that was a really difficult decision to make. All three of those actresses did a phenomenal job, as well as both actresses in Sentimental Value. So I didn't really think that it was an easy decision, but based on everything that happened, I felt that Amy had the strongest chance just because her role was so iconic.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And nothing to take away from Tiana. That was just the role just like you said became iconic.
But it was good to see Tiana. She was just really excited to be there.
Hmm.
And then when One Battle After Another won for Best Picture, to see her kind of have that exchange with Paul Thomas Anderson was really
Hmm.
cool. Like,
Yeah,
and so it seemed like everybody was really excited to win Best Picture. So I
yeah.
think that that was really what meant the most to everybody. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like she even held the Oscar too.
Yeah, she grabbed one of the Oscars. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like she won,
Hmm.
winning Best Picture. You feel like, wow, our team
Hmm.
won, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It goes
because
to the
it's a
producers,
team
but our
effort,
team, it's a team effort. The producers get the Oscars, but yeah, it's a team effort.
right? But the whole cast comes up on stage, and so they're super excited about it in the awards. So that was really cool
Yeah.
to see.
Hmm. And then it was also very interesting to see, just even from the nominee standpoint, how many producers it took to make the movie, and then who
Oh
they
yeah.
were. Like when you like, say just like the relationships that they've had, stuff like that. You can tell like when the movies maybe had like 5, 6, 7 different producers on it, as opposed to a film that just has like two, maybe three. You just kind of tell this, okay, this is a group of people that have been working well together, and these are people that just, you know, got all the money, we're going to put it all together type of thing. But that
For
speaks to like one
sure.
battle after another and Sinners. You know what I'm saying? I think they had the smallest number of producers, and they made the best quality of films.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to what you have to do to make a film. You have to coordinate with all these individuals. So imagine emails, phone calls, text messages, all this correspondence that happens during the making of a movie. You've got to have a really solid game plan when you're making a movie like this. and there's so much that goes involved. So it's not just throw money at it and have at it, you know. So there's a lot of planning that goes into these best pictures that were nominated this year, and one battle after another takes it down.
And years.
Exactly.
You know, this money don't come from overnight. Shit. It takes years. Like, how long we say Paul Thomas Anderson was developing this movie for? 20 years?
20 years. Yeah. 20 years. So that just makes our point even more impactful, because if you've spent this amount of time to make this movie and you've had to shelve it for many years and go back to it, and when is the right time to make this movie, that goes into these decisions as well.
Yeah. Also speaks to the struggle of the filmmaker, man. Like, imagine having this film, because he basically made his whole entire career in between making this movie. Imagine like having to put that on the shelf and then, all right, but there's still that excitement of making the other film, but it's almost like you look at from Boogie Nights to There Will Be Blood. Like, there's even though they always say like Paul Thomas Anderson movies are always kind of connected in some sort of way, even though they don't follow like a certain genre or even a similar like storyline or anything like that, like, you know, they kind of like follow each other. You can kind of see like something like behind the scenes that we didn't know, but like how every movie, you know, is a continuation of this film. It's also him getting ready to film one battle after another.
Well, then you also make me think, buddy, too, that because he had to put this on the shelf for so many years, how many pitch sessions did Paul Thomas Anderson have to do in order to persuade the studios to back him on this project? If he was at it, how, you know, is he bringing this every year, or is it every 5 years? You know, so there's that we don't really know behind the scenes, where you're thinking about how much level of effort did Paul Thomas Anderson have to do to make this movie, and isn't it more meaningful to him personally to have won this, and not only just win one Oscar, but 3? He takes down 3 Oscars.
Well, yeah, well, especially because the movies that he was making, he was losing. He's like, I'm losing with Boogie Nights, I'm losing with Magnolia, I'm losing with There Will Be Blood. He's like, yeah, Incoherent Vice, I'm losing with everything, bro. Let me make my damn movie. They're like, all right, fine, I guess so.
Right, and they gave him that. And what I really liked about One Battle After Another, buddy, was all the car chases. I really, and to hear that one of the car chases was on the fly, like they weren't even sure if they could even, you know, logistically do it because they didn't have the location that they had wanted. And I'm referring to the desert car chase. So a lot of that was on the fly, run and gun type stuff, and they had to move really quickly and to make that whole sequence. Whereas in Sacramento, you've got to have everything planned out because you're in the city, buddy. Whereas like if you're in a remote desert, maybe it might be easier. You still got to have permits, but
because if something goes wrong, there's no hospital, there's no, you know, no nothing.
So there's a level of danger.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you know, the car chase in the beginning of the film was done in Sacramento. So to see those 2 different car chases was really cool to me because they were so uniquely different. And I don't remember a movie that had 2 uniquely different car chases. The one movie that I remember most was an older movie called Bullet, and they filmed that in San Francisco, and there was a big car chase in that movie. And so I, you know, other than like Fast and the Furious and all of these, I felt like one battle after another had iconic car chases. Wouldn't you agree?
Um, I don't know if the car chase. I think when Chase Infinity, when her character first like escapes or whatever, the captives or whatever, where starts the car up and she swing it, and the from the like the cameras like I think it's like placed on the car on the door, something like that. But that I like that shot. But I think I'd have to go back and watch it to really get a good gauge to say whether or not I think it's like one of the more iconic car chases. You definitely feel it though. It definitely feels like he was on a roller coaster with the hills and stuff.
Yeah, and so I just think it brings to the point that all of these weigh into the decisions of who is best picture of the year. The biggest reason why I didn't have One Battle After Another as the best picture for me was the music. That was the only category where I felt that One Battle After Another was not as strong as Sinners, where
Mhm.
it did win for in terms of music wise. It didn't win for Sinners did not win for best original song, but it won for best original score. And One
Yeah.
Battle After Another was nominated for that. And so Sinners won. And for me, that was an easy decision for best original score. And I don't think that musical scores are given as much credit as they need to in films, because for me, it can make or break a movie how good the music is.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, especially from the storytelling standpoint. The audio is definitely something that helps carry along with the dialogue. Gives that it kind of helps give you a sense of what you're supposed to, maybe not what you're supposed to be feeling or what the whoever the character is, what they're feeling at the time.
Yeah, and in the case of One Battle After Another, that was the only criticism I had. And it still won Best Picture despite all of that. So they didn't really put a lot of weight into that with the music. So for me, it was like, okay, so what do you think, buddy, made One Battle After Another win for Best Picture this year? What do you think it was that said it's better than Sinners, it's better than everybody else? Do you think it was Paul Thomas Anderson, or do you think it was a combination of many things?
I think go back to like how we said, and just from the beginning of this movie was just made to be his movie. There was nothing else that was good. There no other movie coming out this year was going to stop the Academy from giving Paul Thomas Anderson Best Picture, Best Producer, Best Director.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, not Best
think
Producer. I
you're
mean,
right.
Best Picture, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writer. There was nothing at all that was gonna was gonna going to stop the Paul Thomas Anderson train. Like this was probably like I said something that was going on in Hollywood. They said, "Hey, it's just his time." Everybody else, you just have to accept second place and consolation prizes and participation trophies. You
And that
know,
was Sinners, right? That was Sinners. That was the runner
no,
up for
no, I
most
would have called
Oscars.
Sinners. No, no, not even like that. Sinners is the one outlier in this whole situation. Both Sinners and Weapons is are the two outliers in this. Sinners more specifically, just because of the cultural impact that it made, and then same with Weapons. I mean, maybe not like with Black culture, but they're still like how you say that Gladys lady is an iconic pop culture figure now. So those are the only two outliers. And like I said, they still didn't get in the way of Paul Thomas Anderson. They just may have gotten in the way of one battle after another. But at the end of the day, it's like I said, all of those movies are under Warner Brothers, so it's not like Warner Brothers is tripping. It's not like they're upset. It's not like it's still coming to us either way. They said, "Hey, PTA, we're going to give you these awards, but we didn't like Warner Brothers did not expect to do what they did last year from the box office standpoint, because it wasn't just Sinners and Weapons, but those were the two darlings, like the cinematic darlings of the group, to where they're like, hey man, I know we was going to let you sweep the Oscars this year, PTA, but yo, Ryan's doing some shit, bro. You gotta see what Ryan's doing, bro. I mean, we want to give him Best Director, but we made this deal with you a long time ago, bro. So we'll do what you could do. You know what I'm saying? But no, Ryan's on your ass, bro. We're just letting you know, Ryan's on your ass, bro. Yeah. So we're gonna give you these awards, but then we're gonna ask kindly that you get the fuck out the way. You know what I mean?
Right. But yeah, maybe the Academy did decide that One Battle After Another was in fact the winner before we even got to.
They knew it by the time we get to these nominees. Right, like I said, talent. It's all just about talent. And once the nominees are all picked, that the talent goes out the window because they cancel out each other. It all goes. That was all these other X factors that us, the audience, we can't see. That's why we say, well, this is our favorite movie. This movie deserved to win. They're like, yeah, this movie cinematically deserved to win, but behind the scenes, this is why it won.
And do you think that campaigning has a lot to do with that? Do you think that through this process the Academy goes through to make these decisions, they've got to be difficult decisions? Like, it can't just be super easy because they've got to put some thought into it, right? I don't know their personal process of how they determine who wins and who loses, but I'm curious to know that process of what they do. And so if we ever get the insight of knowing how these decisions are made, I think that could be made into a movie in itself because it's so secretive, and so One Battle After Another, people are going to either like it or they didn't like it. And
that's the studio.
Right. And
the TV show, The Studio with Seth Rogen. Like, if you watch the TV show, like with Seth Rogen, I guarantee that at some point, like it's very satirical, but a lot of stuff on that TV show is true to life to how this film industry works behind the scenes. So when you see, like the things that Seth Rogen was going through just to win a Golden Globe on that on the TV show, he's probably like he modeled it off a producer that he really like a studio exec that he knows in real life, that like this is what he does to try to win a Golden Globe, or this is the chaos that he goes through and all this type of stuff. But anyway, that's off topic.
No, that's right. I did see that. I did catch The Studio, and I enjoyed that series. And you speak to what we were just talking about in terms of that actually might go down, but we don't personally know if that's what's really happening. In terms of, we're not really in that position to know that information. So for me, it's like, I'm curious to know, what is it the Academy does to decide who wins Best Picture in all these other categories?
I think that goes to the studios. The studios and whoever the campaigning and stuff all like that. It's like, what can you do for me to situation? I don't know. Goes about like putting a lot of ads out in the papers. That was digital ads or whatever. It's stuff all like that. But that's the gist of it. It's like, how much can I be in front of your face? Whether it be, like I said, a print ad or lunch, dinner, you know what I'm saying? We just happen to meet up at a concert randomly. Oh my word, that's crazy. we have seats right next to each other. That's wild.
Yeah.
Courtside at the Kings at the Lakers game. Oh, that's wild. No, yeah, that's where it all happens, you know. And like I said, it's Hollywood. When you get away from the mystique of Hollywood, understand it's just a town. Like my brother's neighbors.
Well, I liked what Ryan Coogler said in terms of. I watched one of his interviews, and he was talking about how it can be a little somber, you know, in terms of melancholy. Like this is maybe the last time they're all going to be together as a team, and because Sinners did so well this year, they were able to see more of each other. And so I liked what he said about that. And I imagine that was the case for a lot of these films, is that the award ceremonies got to bring the team back together so that they could see each other again, because they're working on other projects, buddy. Ryan Coogler's working on another film. I don't know if Paul Thomas Anderson is, but I imagine he's thinking about it, right? And so all of that goes into play as well during these award seasons. They have to make the time to attend these awards in their busy schedules.
I think it's part of their schedule.
Okay.
You know, that's what it becomes. It becomes like for these next 3 months, this is your schedule. It's to be at all these awards, at all these screenings, and all this type of stuff. That's what their schedule is. It's not like they have to. I mean, now other things is getting, but that's part of the cycle of with filmmaking. Like this, like Ryan Coogler said, like I've been on a year-long ride with this movie. Same with Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, from the production standpoint, I know he's been making movies for 20 years, but from the production standpoint, he's been on this ride for a year. So that's just and this goes back to the campaigning and understanding what you're getting into. Like when you're making a movie that you plan on campaigning for an Oscar for, that's your schedule for the next year is whatever's going to get you to the Oscars.
But in the case of not knowing of how successful the film's going to be too, right? In terms of the box office sales, Sinners crushed it where One Battle After Another didn't, right? So
that
Sinners
doesn't matter.
Clearly it doesn't, because
well, we're talking about
One Battle After Another won.
It's never mattered in the history of it with Oscars. Box office has never mattered to Oscars. Shit, when Sinners did what it did at the box office, the very first thing Variety did was try to knock it. So, but just from the standpoint of and this goes back to like the campaigning, it didn't matter how much money One Battle After Another lost or made at the box office, because in order to qualify for the Academy Awards, there's just a specific window period that your movie has to be played in certain theaters and all this type of stuff. So it doesn't really matter from the box office standpoint. It matters from what those guidelines are for being in the Academy Awards. So from that standpoint, it's never kind of been a factor as far as box office success. And that's maybe been one of the knocks against the Academy Awards, is that you're not recognizing a movie that's made a lot of money. But that's what keeps the integrity of the Oscars, is because they put the money aside and just say, let's just look at this as art.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, buddy. In terms of popular opinion, I wonder if you take a poll and you say, who should have won Best Picture? Do people say that One Battle After Another should win the most Oscars? Do they feel that Sinners should win? I think people are going to have different opinions based on their own personal preferences of whether they like a movie or not when they're seeing it. But actually thinking in terms of critically in each category, what makes a movie the best? We've got to have some level of grading system to decide whether or not a film is the best or not. And like you said, they don't consider box office success to be a factor, but all of the other categories that the Academy has is a factor or should be a factor in making that decision. Who wins Best Picture?
You mean the voters?
Yeah, so in terms of the
I
deciding
thought they do.
factor, in terms of the deciding factor, what we were talking about, the Academy puts more weight into the artistic value of a film, right, versus the
Yeah.
money standpoint. But there is the Academy taking account on popular opinion of whether you or I like a film? No, they're thinking in terms of, they have to think in terms of some sort of critical thinking to
Mm.
be able to determine who wins Best Picture, because clearly Sinners was runner up, winning 4 Oscars, and Frankenstein third place, winning 3, if we're thinking in terms of who took home the most Oscars. I think that that is a way to determine who is the best, right? And clearly, One Battle After Another was Best Picture, and it won the most amount of Oscars as well.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. It was the most like artistically shot. It was the best. Now, did it make a lot of money? No, it probably lost them some money. But they knew,
Exactly.
but Warner Brothers was okay with that, because at the end of the day, they had a whole juggernaut full of films that made up for that loss. And they didn't care. They obviously didn't care. They's like, PTA, this is for you. We'll take that loss, bro. You made us way so much. He's made them way more money from his whole catalog than whatever they lost with One Battle After, if they lost anything. And I honestly don't think they lost really, because the numbers that it's going to do now will probably, make up for it and stuff like that. I think the box office numbers are overrated as far as like determine whether a movie puts a studio in the red or not. I think that's kind of a little overrated and inflated. But going back to like with One Battle After Another, yeah, being the best stylistically shot, and yeah, what about, they didn't care. The studio didn't care. They're like, we just want you to win this movie, win this award, and then now we just right off into the sunset. And like I said, all everything else that fell after that is just it's just icing on the cake.
But man, shout out to Sinners though. It made the race more interesting having a movie that was nominated 16 times and actually made you question whether or not One Battle After Another was going to win or not. And I think for me, that's what made the Oscars exciting to watch, because I wanted to know if Sinners was going to break the record for most Oscar wins, or if One Battle After Another was going to win Best Picture. So for me, I like competition. People like competition, right? And so isn't it more exciting not to know who's going to win Best Picture and have that kind of movie that could? And I think Sinners was that movie that surprised a lot of people on how well it did. And so, yeah, I'm just incredibly proud of Sinners doing as well as it did. And also One Battle After Another, and the Northern California aspect, that both of those films had something related to Northern California in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Yep, most definitely. All
But it
right,
was an
so
exciting award season, buddy, and I enjoyed it. How about yourself?
no, yeah, this was a good award season. It was good to follow. It was good to see. Like I said, there's a lot of good movies that had came out this year. It was good to see a lot of them get their shine. Like I said, and then yeah, we'll see what happens after this. Hopefully, we'll start seeing more work come up here, California, Bay Area, Sacramento. Keep these movies rocking. Keep this movie rolling. Yeah, that's how we're gonna rock. Though we're gonna wrap up this here. One buddy after another. One battle after another. Award seasons. It's done. It's a wrap. We followed it from the Golden Globes to the Academy Awards. See the highs, the lows, the surprises, the snubs, the tears, the cries, the smiles, the laughs, and everything in between. Like I said, man, there's your man, Buddy Rahming, Brandon Larson, feature film actor, extra actors in Academy Award winning films. Now we put that on our resume. Now we are stepping our game up going into 2026 and beyond. This has been the Yeah Buddy podcast, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, all my returning friends and new listeners. I hope to catch y'all next time. You can follow me everywhere, Yeah Buddy ENT, and yeahbuddyent.com for my podcast, stand-up comedy, and everything in between. Brandon, tell me where they can follow you at.
You can follow me on Instagram at Brando Larson. And thanks so much for this opportunity, buddy. It's been a real pleasure following the entire awards season with you.
No, yeah, this has been a blast, bro. This has been a blast. I'll catch y'all next award season. So, anyways, y'all, this is the Yeah Buddy podcast. I'll catch y'all next time. Deuces.